Hello listeners, Mark here, and this week I'm introducing you to an SLP short that Sarah has put together to find out more about the Community Integrated Care Learning Disability Super League. So without further ado, let Sarah take it away.
So welcome along to today's Super League pod short. Today I'm joined by John Hughes from the Community Integrated Care Project, who have been instrumental in setting up the Learning Disability Super League. So John, could you give us some background about what it was that's led to the Learning Disability Super League being set up?
Yeah, so Community Integrated Care were one of the biggest charities in the country. So right across England and Scotland, we support about 3,500 people with learning disabilities, autism, mental health concerns and dementia. And in the Rugby League heartlands, the northwest and what we'd call the M62 corridor, we're pretty much one of the main care providers. So for a number of years, we've been working directly with sort of Rugby League clubs. So the likes of Widnes Vikings and St Helens, they've done some fantastic projects with the people we support, sort of keeping them fit, keeping them healthy, helping them to make friends, helping them to volunteer, and also in our dementia care services, helping them to connect to their memories, because, you know, for so many of us that love Rugby League, we've got lots of great Rugby League memories.
Yeah.
And basically, we'd seen last year that, you know, a number of clubs had started to do some learning disability Rugby League, and that was something I was really interested in, and I'd watched some games, and they were really, really, really inspirational. And I think what I saw in that was there was an opportunity for us as a charity to sort of help shape it, help make it better, help provide some training, help provide some investment so we can get more people playing that game, make sure that it's really, really inclusive to as many people as possible, and really, really put it on the map as well, because I think Rugby League deserves so much credit for sort of, in terms of mainstream sports, I think it's about as inclusive as it gets. So, you know, for us to really, really celebrate that as well. So the concept we took to the Super League and the RFL was the creation of a Learning Disability Super League, and good enough that they've approved it, and sort of we're a month into sort of since we've announced it, and it's had an unbelievable reaction.
Brilliant, yeah. So what is the criteria for playing the Learning Disability Rugby then?
So basically, I think the idea is to have like a non-competitive opportunity for people with learning disabilities to play the game. So it's an adapted version of Rugby League. It's around using tag. The rules are simplified, and it's not about sort of winning or losing or counting points. It's about people's participation. So, you know, people with learning disabilities, they've got so many barriers in life in terms of prejudice and a lack of facilities and all these different things that are barriers to them. And, you know, for so many people we support, it's difficult for them to find sporting opportunities and find the confidence to do sport. So predominantly it's an inclusive, adapted, non-competitive game for people with learning disabilities. So really what we're looking to do in this competition is to reach out for those individuals who've got a diagnosis of learning disability or autism or you know, a similar sort of cognitive issue that would mean they couldn't take part in mainstream Rugby League, and they need an adapted version.
Brilliant, yeah. So you've touched obviously there on the fact that it's tag and it's not a competitive scoring game.
That's it.
So do you have scrums and things like that, or?
I think no, it's probably more similar to sort of touch rugby in lots of ways.
Right.
I think you know, for our guys, it's about sort of simplifying the rules and giving everyone the chance to sort of play and, you know, getting the ball in as many people's hands as possible. So part of what we're trying to do as a charity, though, is to work with the RFL and to work with the clubs and go, well, what are the rules that we want it to be, and how do we do it in a way that it still looks and feels like Rugby League, and it still has the same buzz of the game that we love, but it's adapted. So yeah, I think the rules are adapted and they're simplified a lot, but there's still a process that we're working through with the clubs in terms of going, right, what's the very, very final version of that? Brilliant.
Yeah, so you want it to look as much like rugby as it can, but be as inclusive as
exactly.
Yeah. No, that's brilliant. That's so how supportive have you found the clubs to be then in setting this up?
Yeah, they've been amazing. Where it started, this initiative, is like, I mean, a lot of the clubs created it before we came on the picture. So like, you know, the Warrington and Wakefield had the very first game, and off the back of that, the likes of Widnes and St Helens and a couple of other clubs created teams. So I think for all of those clubs that have already taken the steps to do it, I think there's like a bit of relief and a bit of sort of satisfaction that a big national charity's recognised it and said, right, okay, well, how can we help you to do it better? Because it can be difficult to support people with learning disabilities, and there's a lot of challenges that come along the way. And I think what we've been able to say to those people is like, this is so amazing, this thing that you've volunteered to do, and we can be a partner for you guys. And then the other thing that we found is there's a group of clubs that were interested in it, but probably felt, well, we don't have the technical expertise to do this. We don't know where to start in terms of recruiting people or training people, or our coaches have never done this before. So there's a number of clubs that are sort of on the journey to creating learning disability teams with us. So we're now at the stage where there's 12 clubs that are falling within this Learning Disability Super League brand, and it's a bit of a mix between those clubs that have said yes to it and have already got teams up and ready, and then there's some that have said yes to it, and we're going to help them to sort of recruit their team and train their team. So it's a mixed picture, but we're looking to launch the first festival at Magic Weekend. And then
I saw that. That's a great time to launch it, isn't it?
Oh, it's amazing. It's amazing. I think in terms of learning disability sports, I think that'll probably be one of the biggest crowds ever, if not the biggest crowd ever. For us to have the opportunity to give people the chance to play a festival before Magic Weekend, but then also get on the pitch in between the games. That's unbelievable. Especially if you think about the challenges the guys we support have had in terms of exclusion from things that sort of you and I might enjoy. For them to be able to go on the pitch at Anfield and feel like heroes, it'll be really special.
Yeah, my eldest son, actually, one of his closest friends is autistic, so we see a lot through that side of things. And he loves his rugby, so obviously that's something for him to sort of aspire to, I suppose, in the future. So is there a minimum age? Is it 16 or? I
think that's one of the things we're working through at the moment. So my guess is it would be. I think it's going to be an older group. So I think you're certainly looking at people over 14 at this stage. But we're on a journey. Who knows? Sort of if there's enough demand in the sort of months and years ahead, because we've commissioned this for the long term. If there's demand for a youth version of it, that's certainly something to look at. But I think for this stage, it's getting sort of those people who are teenagers and above, giving them the chance, and then sort of looking elsewhere afterwards.
Yeah, I suppose it's so exciting, isn't it, that there's 12 clubs already that have signed up in some form or other. I don't think Rugby League reserves have got that many teams signed up, have they?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think what I love about it is you've got those big giants of Rugby League, the ones that everyone on the street knows about, your Wiggins and your Leeds and Warrington and St Helens and all those sort of massive clubs. But then you've also got some of the emerging clubs. So you've got the likes of York and Newcastle, and part of it as well as creating the Learning Disability Super League, we're now the official social care partner of Rugby League. So we're going to be working with clubs right across the country to create a whole load of programs for people with dementia and learning disabilities and autism and mental health. And what's exciting for us, if you think about the likes of Newcastle, we're one of the main care providers in Newcastle, and we'll support hundreds and hundreds of people in that region. We'll have thousands. How exciting is it to introduce them to Newcastle Thunder, and hopefully, introduce them to a new segment of their fan base?
Yeah, no, it is brilliant. And I think, as you were saying earlier, a lot of clubs are trying to engage with fans or previous fans who have developed dementia and things, but to actually have a charity on board who know what they're doing with it is a really positive thing, because it means that you can sort of advise them how the way forward is and things like that.
That's it. And I think what we're hoping to be is that sort of trusted partner where, we can help people to think, right, what's the best way of using all the archives that our club's got, and all the great memorabilia, and as well as that, your fan base. How can we tap into the fan base of these clubs to sort of reach out to people who've got dementia or learning disabilities? So I think because we've got, we've worked with Rugby League clubs for about 4 years now. We've won big national awards for some of the work we've done. So it's recognised as being amongst the best in the care sector. And I think to be able to say to the RFL and the Super League, we'll go on that journey with you to help shape the inclusiveness of the sport. That's a massive thing.
Yeah. So does a learning disability type league exist in any of the other countries that you know of?
I think there's learning disability sports. So there are adapted versions of sports. I think the element of this that's a world first is you've got the Super League, which is a big professional sports brand, lending its brand to a learning disability sport initiative. And that's genuinely a world first. There's not a learning disability Premier League or Formula One or Serie A. And I think that speaks volumes in terms of what the sport's about. And when I sort of put this idea to the Super League, I felt it was very early when Rob Elston had sort of been appointed, and the sort of vision I put to him was, let's look at what we can do together. But the vision we've got is, how can we make Rugby League and the Super League in the UK the most inclusive sport in the world? Yeah. And that was something that he really liked. He really liked the idea of the sport having people knowing what the sport stands for. And I do think that the Super League lending its brand to this, that goes some way to achieving that ambition.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Yeah. So obviously it's going to be launched at Magic Weekend at the end of May. When and where and how can fans watch other games?
Yeah, so the main thing I'd say to people is keep update with us on social media. So if people go on at LD Super League on Twitter, and you can just put into Google, you'll find all of our stuff. You'll see sort of the progress of it. So we're developing some really nice video content, and we're keeping people up to date in terms of our news. I think in terms of Magic Weekend, we'll be announcing soon there'll be a festival on the morning of Magic Weekend, probably across both days. So people who arrive a little bit early as well, sort of seeing the fan zone, you can go around Stanley Park and hopefully see some really inspiring games of Rugby League. And then also across both days, we're looking to have sort of one of the breaks in between in between some of the mainstream Super League games, where people have 15 minutes on the pitch and they'll get the chance to sort of play for their teams. And then after that, it's going to be a series of festivals. Yeah. So, we're plotting when they'll be, but, probably every couple of months there'll be a festival, and some of them will be linked to Super League games, or, maybe even the likes of the Grand Final, and then some of them will be their own separate events. But yeah, people can follow us online, and hopefully they want to sign up and be part of that journey.
Right. Thank you ever so much, John, for your time. It's been really good to learn more, and I'm sure that the SLP people will get behind you and check you out on Twitter and coming along to the launch at Magic.
Brilliant. Well, we really appreciate the coverage, and we're grateful for everyone who's supported the campaign so far.
Thank you. That's great.
Brilliant. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Great stuff there from Sarah and John, and wonderful to see, the inclusivity of our great sport continue to grow and lead the way. It's fantastic to hear. If you want to find out more details about the Learning Disability Super League, that Twitter handle again was at LD Super League. I'm sure if you keep abreast of the RFL pages and the Super League pages as well, you'll see when events are popping up that you can get along and support. Thanks to you all for listening to another edition of SLP Shorts there. You can find us at Super League Pod on Twitter and Instagram, or facebook.com/Super League Pod. If you want to get in touch with anything with us about anything, superleaguepod@gmail.com is another way to get in touch if you're not on the social media platforms there. You can also get some more SLP content on our blog. You'll find that at superleaguepod.com. You can find our shows there, or you can subscribe through Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube, a Podcast Addict app, also on the Stitcher podcast app. You can find us on Leaguecast Android app with some other Rugby League listens, or go to rugbyleaguemedia.com. You'll find us amongst a range of alternative Rugby League media outlets, some of them for your eyes as well as SLP for your ears to enjoy. Please do like, share, retweet our posts out there on Facebook and on Twitter, please. Also, if you could take the time to maybe head over to iTunes, if you're an iTunes subscriber, give us a rating or a review. That really helps spread the SLP family as well. And finally, just to close, as always, we want to thank you for listening, and until you hear from us again, keep enjoying and supporting in all its inclusive and wonderful ways the greatest game of all, Rugby League.